My desktop is frozen, so I'm just doing it from here right now. Just doing it from here right now. Oh, I want to import InTouchBlur. InTouchBlur. Oh! Okay, whatever. I thought I did. Never mind. My bad. Okay, I guess we'll just use that.
Then, but as soon as you get back into the door with the keys, he hands you something wrapped up. Welcome to the Emotional Abuse Simulator 6.0. Please submit your request for the certificate at the end of the session. And please memorize the safe gesture that will be your personalized cue to end the program. Excellent. Let's begin stepping through the doorway. You are a human, and your identifiers are inconsequential and can oscillate within the narrative if you want. It's your birthday. Your partner has a big surprise for you when they come home from work. They know how special this day is for you. After many challenges to get past your hang-ups and ask for what you want, you say, I just want a simple night at home, maybe some wine, but not a requirement. Your partner asked if you wanted food from this restaurant or that one. You took your pick and have been waiting to get a link from him. Not wanting to seem an ag, you gave them 2 potential orders depending on what they decide. Not wanting to disrupt their workflow. You think nothing of it until the end of your workday. You started to feel a tiny twinge of anxiety on the commute home. You have 2 possible dinners before you. Not knowing which is the yeast upon which the rest of the meal would be based made your stomach flip in uncertainty. It was like being pregnant with an unknown outcome. You don't even know whether you're going to eat or be eaten. Your body became so tense, and when he finally got back, you had already spilled something down the front of your tennis court. It's all white, as well as forgotten about your lunch date at noon. He looked at you confusedly, not sure why you were crying but not asking for more information than that, and said, "I'm sorry I am late. Let me make us dinner and we can talk after."
Oh, yes.
You tell him that no, just order, and he goes to go do it. You are alone again, feeling drained. You walk around the house trying to figure out how to take off the stupid top that is now covered in red wine. You look at your phone and realize that if this continues any longer, you might miss the reservation because they only take bookings for 6 people ahead. You start to panic thinking what will happen next, wondering who else could possibly feed you. You get in the shower and try to calm down before your partner gets home. You decide to wear one of those flimsy black dresses with nothing underneath it instead of your normal pajamas so you're ready in case they're hungry tonight. But you forgot your hairdryer and have a few minutes until he arrives. It's too much. He's going to be upset with you for being late again. Forget about eating anything except ramen noodles. But he doesn't show up angry. He walks through the door wearing his work clothes, looking exhausted. He tells you that he had an unexpected meeting come up, but he got there early enough to leave earlier than expected. He takes off his coat and hands it on the hook by the front door, but then he sees that he has forgotten to bring dinner or even the food from the restaurant. So you both end up making dinner together. You didn't want to waste any more time, especially after he was already running late.
It's your birthday.
And though it's not what you would have wanted, at least now you know that he wants to take care of you when things get stressful. That is all you need to feel safe right now. You tell him that if you are ever feeling stressed, you can always ask him what to do. Then you smile at each other as you eat. You are human, and you identify as are inconsequential and can oscillate within the narrative if you want. It's a Monday night in May. You're sitting in your kitchen preparing your meal because your partner will be home soon. Your hands are covered in flour and sugar. It smells like heaven. It's been a while since you last baked a cake, a family tradition from childhood where you would spend days decorating and then having people over.
This is Emotional Abuse Simulator version 6.0.
For dinner and celebrating, but your relationship isn't really a celebration anymore, and these cakes seem very lonely without anyone around them. At this point, you have no one left but yourself, so you bake something new for you to enjoy on your own. A beautiful red velvet cake with white icing that has only 2 words written on it: "Happy Birthday." When your partner arrives, he comes straight into the kitchen looking hungry, but not particularly surprised to see that you're there. He asks how it is going. You start to make him his favorite drink that he loves on occasion. You get out the special glass that he had made specially for him once upon a time when he was more romantic and thoughtful about it.
Courtesy of Brooklyn Glass, or Urban Glass, rather. The fine folks at Urban Glass. Mental note. Mental note, watch that glass blowing competition.
As you put the ingredients together, he looks at you thoughtfully and says that everything smells amazing. You tell him that it's just because the kitchen is already full of wonderful aromas from the baking and cooking. And then suddenly he makes eye contact and smiles at you. You realize he's been waiting all day for this moment to arrive. When he sits down in front of his slice of cake, you sit across from him and take a bite from yours and smile at each other because you know this is going to be one of those moments where you are both able to relax. It's such an unexpected pleasure.
The second
It's
track
been
of
so long since either one of you has felt
Kid
like
Egg,
this,
Tom
but
Clancy.
now you have someone else who shares and is feeling with you.
It's a very ominous couple soundtrack. Like in the Sopranos. Don't mind me, I'm just backseat narrating here.
You are a human, and your identifiers are inconsequential and can oscillate within the narrative if you want. It's a Saturday morning, and you have been invited to a potluck by a friend you haven't seen in a while. You get together, and you and your friends catch up on life for a while. You end up telling your story of how your relationship has gone bad, and how your partner now treats you differently, how you can't get them to do anything without it turning into a fight, and how you don't know what to do. You're not sure if this is a pattern that's going to repeat itself again in the future. You have no idea what to do. And as you know this to your friends, when your friends is also experienced in this type of relationship, is Francis curious that someone like you who was in the thick of it find the words so easily, whereas when they were in the situation it took me years to figure it out. You so putting two and two together, they realize, stop, you are the perpetrator. They all look at you confused. You start to explain to them what you mean. How you had always been so afraid to let go and find your own voice. You had always let your partner speak for you. How you were afraid to tell your partner what you want. But this time it's different. You're a human, and your identifiers are inconsequential and can oscillate within the narrative if you want. You're a human, and your identifiers are inconsequential and can oscillate within the narrative if you want. You're a human, and your identifiers are inconsequential and can oscillate within the narrative if you want. You are a human, and your identifiers are inconsequential and can oscillate within the narrative if you want. It's a Thursday night, and you've decided to make dinner with your roommates after work. It's not really their thing. They're both pretty into cooking, but they don't usually get around to making anything themselves very often. They would much rather order in than do any of the tedious prep work, which is ironic since they spend an absurd amount of time doing all sorts of things that seem like such effort. You thought that maybe this time they'd be interested in learning how to cook something that they could then try to replicate on their own when they weren't exhausted from working all day at a job where they sit behind computer screens all day long. So tonight is your big chance. The plan was to go out and have fun afterwards for drinks, so everyone agreed that you should pick up. Some groceries beforehand too, because it seemed kind of silly to run back home just to eat again. You head over to the grocery store and you buy everything you need. Fresh fruits, vegetables, meat, chicken, bread, wine, and cheese. Everything. When you arrive at your apartment, you realize it's been a while since you did any actual cooking, and you were starting to worry that you wouldn't know what to do. But as you look through the ingredients, you feel excited about trying to make something new. It's been forever since you made anything fancy or even complicated like the recipes in those fancy cooking magazines are always full of. And so you start cooking by reading one recipe at a time from a book with all the instructions laid out clearly in front of you. wake up in a day's late morning. It seems like only yesterday that you went to bed, but now you're wide awake because today is Saturday. The last time you slept this well was probably in high school. This is something else you have never experienced before. It is such a rare thing to get up when you want. You roll out of bed, put on your favorite outfit that you picked based off some magazine picture, and head down to meet up with your roommates for brunch. You arrive and everyone is surprised to see that you are actually there for once. They say they are glad to see you because they thought maybe you'd gotten fed up with them and were just not coming anymore, which would be completely understandable considering how much trouble they cause.
Getting ready for work.
You assure everyone that the opposite is true. You are genuinely happy for their company. As the waitress comes over, you order the most expensive things on the menu and you don't feel guilty about it one bit.
Not one bit.
As you eat together, you talk more about each other's lives and what's happening in their respective workplaces. There is so much about yourself you've missed in the last year. And even though this new relationship hasn't worked out yet, the way you think has changed so profoundly. It was a very strange feeling having someone who knows your whole life story without really knowing you at all. And while you weren't sure if this was something worth pursuing or a huge mistake, this person's presence made it hard to focus on anything else.
With all the chaos happening.
It was like he was always there with you, weighing on your mind, and making you anxious when you wanted to concentrate on something else. Now that it feels as though your time with him will never happen again, it makes you realize how important those moments were to you, even if they didn't quite pan out exactly how you had hoped. But now that you're on this side of things, there's no going back. The next chapter begins tomorrow morning. You're a human, and your identifiers are inconsequential and can oscillate within the narrative if you want. It's Friday night and everyone is getting together for drinks after work. You haven't seen some of these people in ages, but you've been busy, so you try to make every effort to show up whenever they do.
You're still frozen.
You wake up in a day's late morning. It seems like only yesterday that you went to bed, but now you're wide awake because today is Saturday. You roll out of bed, put on your favorite outfit that you picked based off some magazine picture, and head down to meet up with your roommates for brunch. Everyone is surprised to see that you are actually here for once. They say they are glad to see you because they thought maybe you'd gotten fed up with them and were just not coming anymore, which would be completely understandable considering how much trouble they cause. You assure everyone that the opposite is true. You are genuinely happy for their company. As the waitress comes over, you order the most expensive things on the menu and you don't feel guilty about it one bit. Nope, not one bit, not guilty, not one bit, no guilty, no guilty. Then you go to the waitress and you top them off on the ice. Or to the tray of voices, Europe, I got lost on the way to the party, you got lost on the way to the party, dude got lost on the way to the party, the old god burst on the way back from what in my mind all night long. When am I gonna get home? Like, was everybody like, this is the last thing we need to hear right now, no time to waste, let me tea. I love these, so anyway, at least these people like us, like our life choices and whatnot, like they're trying to help, like there's nothing wrong with being poor as shit or having a bunch of kids if it makes your heart sing, but they have been known to be assholes sometimes. Yeah, they've definitely done some really awful things in the past, some terrible things, and they probably still do, okay, like it just seems like they're a little too much for certain situations. For example, they can't cook and they always eat out instead of cooking themselves. They love eating out, they make it sound fun even though it costs more than it should. They go all nope, not one bit, not guilty, naughty, no, not one bit, no guilty, no guilty. Then you go to the waiters and you top them off on their oyster, or to the third tray of oysters, Europe. I got lost on the way to the party, D got lost on the way to the party, dude got lost on the way to the party, the old god pushed on the way back from what in my mind all night long. When am I gonna get home? Like, where's everybody? Like, this is the last thing we need to hear right now, no time to waste, let me tea. LLE, so anyway, at least these people like us, like our life choices and whatnot, like they're trying to help, like there's nothing wrong with being poor as shit or having a bunch of kids if that makes your heart sing, but they've been known to be assholes sometimes. Yeah, they've definitely done some really awful things in the past, some terrible things, and they probably still do, okay, like it just seems like they're a little too much for certain situations. For example, they can't cook and they'd always eat out instead of cooking themselves. They love eating out, they make it sound fun even though it costs more than it should. They go all in every single time on anything that sounds vaguely like an adventure without thinking twice about whether it might end up hurting them in the long run just because it sounds interesting and adventurous and like it was yesterday. Okay, well actually it wasn't. I don't think anyone else knows how to live their lives the way that you guys are living them right now. Not quite sure what you mean, but maybe you could explain it better. Oh, you want to know why we don't feel bad about spending money on food and stuff? You bet you would if you lived in our situation, and surprised you didn't spend any of your hard-earned cash on your new outfit tonight. You seem pretty fancy anyway. Did you pay full price for this thing or what? Nope, got it on sale for $90, no big deal. You look really good in it. You probably spent more on that one item than most people do for a whole month, so I guess this is your last night of being poor, or at least for a little while, if only until your next credit card bill. Anyway, man, do you remember when everyone used to tell us we were stupid for doing things like that back then? But hey, times have changed. Now everybody wants to do things like that. Now they say you can do whatever makes you happy as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else, because it's not hurting anyone else, because we're all in the same boat, which isn't a boat with oysters on it, just an actual real boat, like an old-fashioned sailing ship, like the kind pirate said and shit. Yeah, I think I saw something about that online, not sure why they even made this anymore, because the wind kind of blows away from the coast now, and there was just some crazy weather patterns and stuff, and the seas are super choppy and everything else, and also the ice caps are melting and stuff. Oh my god, how could anyone be so dumb to believe that stuff? I mean, it's literally happening right before their eyes, and they still won't admit to themselves and others that this is actually happening, no matter what evidence is put in front of them. Okay, well, whatever, I'm gonna go get another drink. You guys enjoy your brunch, okay? Don't order anything weird, let me know what you want, alright? You wake up in a day's late morning. It seems like only yesterday that you went to bed, but now you're wide awake because today is Saturday. You roll out of bed, put on your favorite outfit that you picked based off some magazine picture, and head down to meet up with your roommates for brunch. Everyone is surprised to see that you are actually here for once. They say they are glad to see you because they thought maybe you'd gotten fed up with them and were just not coming anymore, which would be completely understandable considering how much trouble they cause. You assure everyone that the opposite is true. You are genuinely happy for their company. As the waitress comes over, you order the most expensive things on the menu and you don't feel guilty about it one bit. As the meal proceeds, it becomes clear that these people have not really been getting along at all. and your old friend Barbara, she asks you what you look like, that girl that got napalmed in that magazine picture be trusted how time nobody knows how long this new relationship has lasted. You're pretty sure it's only been a month or so. Why does no one seem to care if we've met before? What kind of shitty friends do you think we are? Well, I guess there isn't anyone else around to ask right now if you would want to hang out with us anyway, especially now when it seems like no one wants to know anything about any of our lives ever, like even though none of us have made an effort to change the situation. I'm pretty sure my own roommate never listens to a word I say. He says it doesn't matter and then complains to me about whatever, and also his girlfriend is always trying to get him to stop smoking and stuff, and he keeps promising her, and then every time they go out together,
Sparks up a doob.
they end up drinking and smoking and doing coke and taking ecstasy and having sex in random bathrooms and pubs and abandoned buildings and basically anywhere they can find someplace private enough to do those things without being arrested. And by the way, Barbara, just so you know, we've been seeing each other for a little bit more than a month, but only because she hasn't been able to afford living on her own yet, and we haven't exactly been planning our whole life around this thing, so I don't see the big deal here. You know what, everyone thinks this place is going to be really expensive to live at, but it turns out that people were actually right, except it was much worse and cheaper, so now we're all stuck with a bunch of shitty jobs we hate and shitty apartments that we can't even pay rent on. Unless we take food stamps from the government, and then like when your friend is to tell us how to eat healthy, like when there's not even any money to buy fruits and vegetables that aren't already rotten or moldy, and then these same friends who are supposed to help us with it turn around and lecture us about it like, hey guys, maybe think about cutting down on those unhealthy snacks if you want to get into shape. Okay, no thank you, you can keep those things please. It doesn't matter though. You are happy again. Your old friends have brought new life to you. The waitress brings another round of drinks as well as some delicious oysters. For some reason, you've always wanted to try them, and now you can finally indulge in this treat you had never thought you'd get to enjoy because it's too expensive for you before you came here, but you feel justified spending your hard-earned cash anyway because you know you'll need some serious energy for tonight. And the company is fun and interesting and kind of nice to be around in a way you've been craving since your breakup, but still completely unable to satisfy. It's also the first time your roommates ever seem to listen when you say something and they don't just dismiss it because you're too sensitive or whatever. So by the end of the day, everyone is having a great time together again, except you realize that the only people who care about you or even give two shits about anything are these three new friends who you are totally unprepared to trust yet, who are making you very happy right now. So what are you going to do? You wake up early Saturday morning, excited that today might actually go somewhere. Your old friend Barbara calls on her phone, sounding chipper despite being hungover, asking you if you want to come hang out with them again. You accept without hesitation. You shower, eat breakfast, get dressed, and head down to meet them at their usual bar for brunch. As soon as you sit down, however, you see your old friends staring off into space like they're completely bored out of their minds. They say nothing. They just stare ahead blankly. You ask them what's wrong, but they just laugh nervously and change the subject every time. The waitress comes back and asks for your order, but no one wants to tell her because apparently she's always really bad at getting things right. You wake up early Saturday morning, excited that today might actually go somewhere. Your old friend Barbara calls on her phone, sounding chipper despite being hungover, asking you if you want to come hang out with them again. You accept without hesitation. You shower, eat breakfast, get dressed, and head down to meet them at the usual bar for brunch. Double the order of as soon as you sit down, however, we should probably share the same friends because otherwise there won't be enough food because of the whole thing about the money situation. So let's split the prices blank between the four. You ask them what all work out occasionally and change the subject every time. I guess my friend comes buy me a drink and asks for your glass of, but no one wants to tell her because apparently she's always really bad at getting things much cheaper than ordering a full meal. And then because I know Barbara tells you that there's something wrong with anyway, so we'll split saying that everyone later turns out it was actually only $1 more each because the price difference between between the two wasn't quite so large after all, so let's have 2 orders of oysters instead. See, order the oysters, double the order of pancakes, extra strawberry syrup, more coffee. I know they're not supposed to have too much caffeine, but we're going to be doing a lot of smoking tonight, so please just bring me all the blackest stuff in a menu. No problem. They seem okay with this, and then the waitress leaves to fetch your food. It turns out that Barbara isn't feeling well that day either, so it ends up being you two alone at lunch after everyone else goes home. As you talk, you notice how quiet everything seems today, even though there are a few other people eating here with you. Your old friends look exhausted, tired, and kind of angry. You wonder why. Are you mad that you never call or text them anymore like you used to when you were dating someone and didn't want them to?
That's weird.
Think something was up. It's almost like you guys have completely stopped speaking altogether. They don't ask you anything about yourself, you hardly ask them questions, and you're pretty sure they aren't asking each other any either because they always act like they barely know one another sometimes. They spend most of the meal staring into space, avoiding eye contact. You ask them if they're okay, but they just shrug their shoulders as if to say they're fine, but also maybe not because they just ate an entire plate of oysters for breakfast. The waitress comes back over again and asks you what you'll be having, but you can tell she's really confused by your order, so you just point at your roommates and smile at her. He ordered the Easter oyster sundae. He loves those things. I bet he's not going to even taste it. I'm sorry, but it doesn't look good. The waitress takes your food away anyway before Barbara has a chance to see it. She looks disappointed, but you hope it tastes better than it looked. And you do end up enjoying yourself with these 2 new friends. After all, your old friends are the only ones who care enough about you to want to hang out in the first place. You wake up Sunday morning excited to finally meet this mysterious boy that your best friend Lorna keeps talking about, but you haven't met yet. You put on some makeup, change into your favorite outfit, and head down to brunch with your roommates, eager to find out everything you can from him while everyone else is still asleep. Having a private investigator certainly helps when trying to locate people, right? It's very strange, though, how often you have no luck finding anyone despite having a guy following them around 24/7 for years now. Your mystery man hasn't shown his face since he came into town just a few days ago, and then suddenly today he's back and there's nothing stopping him from speaking with you or anything. What's more confusing than all of this, however, is why your old friends are so angry at you. Why did they call off their plans last night if he was coming over tonight anyways? And where the hell were you yesterday during all of this anyway? They seem pretty upset with you for keeping this from them, but it doesn't make sense. You wake up on Monday and have to go to the emergency because of real huge pains in your hands and feet, and the doctor goes, you had to go get Scout anymore. Who gets Scout anymore? But we're done for the season. What else am I supposed to do? You don't remember signing up for another session, but whatever. Maybe it'll help you feel better about everything going on here in this new city that has completely replaced the one you thought you knew by now. Pain comes back later, worse than ever before, and you can barely stand as you wait outside of the hospital lobby waiting room for your name to be called. You start crying when you see the look on your mom's face when she sees how bad it really is. Her eyes widen, her mouth opens in surprise. She rushes to pick you up out of your seat and carry you inside. Your dad follows behind carrying your bag, as he always does, and you notice right away that he's been crying too. Thank you, Mom, you say, but actually what you're doing right now is making everything worse because you want to go home to sleep more, but then you think again, why should you have a choice? It would only make things even worse if you stayed at home all day, so you let yourself cry into your mother's shoulder while holding your father's hand as he cries with you. I'm sorry, Daddy, but I just got these huge pains everywhere today, like my whole body is throbbing. He holds you tight, but also strokes the back of your head and rubs the top of your neck in an effort to comfort you both. He tells you it'll be okay. There's nothing you can't handle. You can tell that he doesn't really believe it himself. You end up spending most of the night in the hospital watching TV, eating snacks, and playing games until finally the nurse comes. Hi, if you have something that you wish for the doctors to see, you have to come to the counter first and say you're here to see someone. You can't just be in a waiting room and take up a space on the couch. It won't work, so don't bother. But there are no other chairs except those horrible plastic ones. Why do they need them when people have been sitting around for thousands of years without any? Is this some kind of torture or what? How will I ever sleep tonight knowing all these evil germs from all these sick patients are living inside me, and now I can't even get a comfy chair where I could nap peacefully during all my downtime? What the fuck? This isn't right. What else am I supposed to do? I mean, I've been at school all day with my parents, being totally stressed out by how much I'm missing too. Why shouldn't I be able to catch up with my homework while I'm here? The nurses like crippled me. I thought you already finished. The Confederacy of Dunces was done last week, but oh wait, no you didn't finish because you had to spend the night here. I know I'm not in class today either, but it's different though. Different how? It's the same exact thing. No, it's not. You're just still recovering, so it feels different. You're just overreacting. She goes away, so you decide you might as well take advantage of your newfound freedom and head back home early before anyone realizes that you were gone this entire time, and you end up spending the next hour on your bed crying into a pillow, hating yourself for everything. The tears are pouring down your cheeks and making wet circles onto the sheets around your body as you think about how badly you messed things up again, and all you want is for someone to comfort you and tell you. The nurse calls you on the phone. Quote, what tell you that everything is only come on you better than that. Don't let this be the only reason we haven't met yet, okay? Don't worry, I'll call you right back soon. You look down at the sheet underneath you where all those wet circles have been left behind and start thinking more seriously about what she said. She was really pretty hot too, if you can believe it. What did he say when he asked her out? He was probably telling me not to talk to girls like that because it's disrespectful to him. I'm sure of it. I'm positive. I'm just not cut out for any of this dating stuff. It's so hard, but I'm trying my best, so maybe it's just a bad idea. Anyway, it was a lot easier in middle school. Tell me more. Did she put up a fight, or were you able to convince her with your words alone? Oh no, I just remembered why I shouldn't bother asking for details, because they're not important enough for someone as special as I am to know. I'm sorry, but I got some work to do later today, and I should really get back into bed now though. Don't worry, sweetie, you'll be fine. You'll be up tomorrow and feeling much better then, and everything will go back to normal again, and you won't have to worry about anything ever again, okay? Okay, bye. Good night. Sweet dreams. Have a wonderful, restful sleep. Sleep well and wake up ready to live your life from here on out. Your phone rings and the nurse calls back. I just reviewed the footage from last night, and did you drink it's the smoothie, didn't you? Did you hear anything we said, or did your mother hear anything said? She made it for you. She blended the oysters herself. It was a little salty. She was worried that you'd eat too many if she just put them in water, so she blended it in with the milk, of course. She added plenty of sugar, but not enough to make it taste like candy. It was just right, so she told me that she put it in an empty sippy cup. She kept one around in case it spilled. She always does this when she makes it for her friends, for their children, because she knows how important it is for us all to keep our teeth as long as possible. And don't worry, I already cleaned up after myself before I left, so I can assure you no trace evidence remains behind anywhere, but I'll send over another report just to be safe, though I'm sure everything's fine. I'll call you tomorrow morning. Alright, sweet dreams and sleep well, okay, bye. I just reviewed the footage from last night, and did you drink all this to smoothie, didn't you? Did you hit anything we said, or did your mother hit anything said she... Your private investigator chimed in on Skype. I just reviewed the footage from last night, and there was fluid everywhere where you were even conscious in a week. During those hours, your eyes were open, but it seemed like you were staring at nothing. But anyway, the nurse did clean up after herself. She swept up the juices and sucked it all up, and then I'm going to go back further into her background and let you know what comes up. There isn't anything that stands out. She hasn't had much luck with men ever since her divorce. About 5 years ago, she dated a few guys off and on, but none of them stuck around very long. Once they found out she didn't have any kids or anything like that, she told me she thought she would probably settle down eventually and start trying for another child sometime in the next 10 years, but that doesn't sound likely now that she's already been through one failed marriage, and that means that she can't be married again for another 10, so no, not anytime soon. No way. There are still some options, that maybe someone else will want to take on the responsibility of having another kid when this one grows up. You asked, like a burden doula. Like if the baby gets sick, we'll hire somebody to look after it, so my husband and I can work instead. That's what I figured as well, though I'm sure she was being sarcastic, because why would you even ask something like that? Why would anyone think to do such a thing to their own child? Who thinks like that anyway? I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird, but it seems pretty obvious that people should raise their children themselves. You're saying it like you wouldn't mind raising your kids yourself too, but you'd also love it if you had help from other parents who wanted to share that experience with you. It would be amazing if both our kids grew up together like that and went to school with each other's friends, all those things that happen in movies, but not real life and... Yet in reality, everyone is supposed to have to go off to college by the time they turn 18, which means they have to move away where nobody knows them anymore, and then, when they graduate, they won't be able to come home for the holidays or summers because they'll be busy doing whatever else it is they plan to do. So yeah, we could have a kid now, and maybe someday in the future when he grows up we'll bring him back and show him around the house and let him see what his dad looked like when he was young, so I guess it's okay. It's fine. It's only 1 hour left before the doctor comes and makes her rounds again, so you decide to try out your new tie first thing on Friday morning instead of going to class, though you realize you might end up getting yelled at about.
Okay.
late, but you don't care because you want to make sure everything's working properly. You press play. You're not gonna tell anyone, are you? I mean, I'm just asking, you know? You said as you took off your clothes. She stood there looking down at you. Her eyes were red from crying. The room was dark except for the dim glow coming from outside. There was nothing but silence. It felt weird. You knew this wasn't real. Your heart started beating faster inside your chest. I know you're not telling anybody. If that's what you really want to do, that would be great, but I gotta ask. You could hear yourself breathing loudly in the microphone. This is a little crazy, isn't it? It didn't sound like anything she had ever heard before in her life, but it still sounded like something a person might say. She bit her lip hard and nodded yes. It was a little strange. You took a deep breath and swallowed, feeling a little nervous suddenly. Okay, well, what do you want me to call you? She paused, staring at her feet, and then looked back up at you with her big, green eyes. Oh, right. Sorry, she said shyly. You can just think of my name as Kara or Kaoru. It doesn't matter, though. She giggled nervously. You smiled and rubbed your face. Yeah, whatever you want. What should we do now? You sat on the edge of the bed so your knees were touching hers and waited for an answer. The room grew dark as the sun went down outside, but there were lights from street lamps outside shining through the blinds and illuminating the room just enough for them both to see each other in the dim light. The clock ticked in the background. You could hear your heart beating in your ears, but that wasn't unusual anymore. It felt like that happened every time you did anything in the slightest bit risky these days. I'm gonna suck on this thing for a sec, okay? She asked. She stared into your eyes. Her pupils got larger and smaller in the darkness.
I guess you could put it in. You nodded. You set the dildo upright on top of a pile of clothes that was next to the bed, then started unbuttoning your shirt. She watched with wide eyes until she realized what she was supposed to do too. Then she turned her attention back to her own body and reached up with her hands towards her breasts. Wait, she said before she pressed down against her skin, feeling the nipples harden under her fingers as they began to poke through the thin material of her bra. A few seconds passed as she continued to stare at herself with rapt fascination, looking over everything from head to toe.
Oh, Kuda is out of memory. Whoa. Whoa, AI. Novel AI. Hold on, let's screenshot this. Rare. Kuda is out of memory. Let's see. Maybe something's blowing up at the Faraday cage.
It felt strange being so close to someone else without them even knowing who you were. This was new to both of you, but maybe not in such a way as to be awkward. Maybe just different. She took hold of the toy you had placed between your legs and lowered her lips onto its smooth plastic shaft. The cold metal felt good in her mouth, but there was nothing sexy about it really. She slid it along the inside of her cheek a couple times, then slowly brought it all the way out again. She swallowed once and started licking it from base to tip. She moved it back and forth in front of her face, using one hand and the back and another on the side to move it around her cheeks and chin like an ice cream cone that wanted some extra scoops of chocolate sauce. Morning, this is Twitch San Jose and Practices Department. You notice that there is ice cream-based sexuality happening. We must turn off this feed, go about your day. Have a pleasant and productive tomorrow. Yeah, I'm gonna put mine back now, okay? You asked when you finish with that part. She looked up at you with a small smile on her lips. Okay, she said shyly as she pressed the toy back into your underwear and buttoned your shirt back up over your chest. Then she pulled the covers down on top of you so you could stay warm while you slept. I hope you sleep well tonight, she whispered before closing the door behind her quietly as she left the room. You laid in bed staring at the ceiling until eventually you fell asleep listening to the soft humming of the machine next to you. The doctor's nurse came by later to check in on how everything was going and told you to be sure to call if there were any problems.
Okay, that's enough for now. Okay, good night, Alien Gathering Cat Basis, not AMR Beast Contest, and, not another Mr. Beast Contest, I guess. Tenerife, good night.